Okay.
I don't want to do it. But anyway, hello. Welcome to the Saga, the Clone Saga. The podcast where we, the students of S.H.I.E.L.D., read through Clone Saga and Clone Saga adjacent related comics. I'm Billy.
I'm Mike, and Billy, do you not want to do this because the show's just taking a toll on you?
Yes.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Vincent, and Mikey will also introduce our sponsor of the day.
All right, so our sponsor is going to be Apex Legends, the new free game by Respawn Entertainment.
That wasn't 10 seconds.
It's fun, and the best character is Pathfinder because he has a grappling hook.
Debatable.
You could say playing as Pathfinder makes you feel like you're Spider-Man.
Yeah, in a way.
Or you could not say that.
If you like Titanfall and Battle Royale, you'll like this game.
So
it's hardly like Titanfall.
Today we are talking about Scarlet Spider again, sort of for the third time, but kind of like the second time. This is the final few issues of the Scarlet Spider series, and we're going to call this arc Into the Grave, mostly because that's what the bulk of this stuff that we're talking about is. So we're reading Scarlet Spider 21 through 25, and in 21, so Mike and I did the last episode, which featured some Superior Spider-Man and one issue of Scarlet Spider. And by this point, Eric Burnham is co-writing Scarlet Spider with Christopher Yost. And obviously, we didn't read the entire series, but it's not like it doesn't jump out. It's not like the writing's bad or anything like that. As I said before, Eric Burnham, known for Ghostbusters comics, among other things. But more interesting than that is the art side, because art here is on this issue is Carlo Barberi and David Baldeón. I'm pretty sure David Baldeón is drawing Gail Simone's, or was drawing, or they relaunched it, Gail Simone's Domino series. I think so. And Ryan Stegman is not drawing this, because Ryan Stegman literally only drew what we read in that first Scarlet Spider episode. He drew issues 1 through 4 and 6. But
he does bad.
Yeah. But Stegman does every cover for this series. And similarly on Superior, he only drew 8 issues out of 31 of Superior Spider-Man, and never more than 3 in a row. So I don't know what his deal is or was, because I think he's been more consistent on Venom, but I'm not sure.
I've never known Stegman as a guy that was late, though. So
yeah, well, I don't know if it's that. I don't know that's necessarily that he's late. Maybe he just acknowledges that he can't do a monthly, so they don't put him on a monthly so that he has the ability to be late. But nowadays, I mean, it kind of is hard to do a monthly book.
Well, it's considered the most books double ship now.
Especially and let alone no one does a double shipping, a twice monthly book.
I mean, off on a tangent, but is Greg Capullo like the last guy when Scott Snyder and him on Batman, the last kind of team that really? I mean, I think out of the 52 issues for Batman, I think there was 2 issues of that entire book that wasn't drawn by Greg Capullo.
Yeah, plus some annuals and stuff like that. I mean, there are people like that. I mean, Mark Bagley can keep up on a monthly book still, and it varies, but it's definitely more the exception now. So we pick up from the very end of our last episode. Kane is scarred again, and picking up from stuff that we didn't read, he went through some kind of identity crisis, and maybe he has like a spider monster inside his head. And that's never really explained in this arc. It's just a thing.
Yep.
It's just a thing.
So he's freaking out, and he throws a couch out the window and jumps right after it. I thought it would have been cool if he couch surfed out the window, like through the couch to break the window, and then jumped on the couch and just careened through the sky.
I didn't think about that. That'd been cool.
Be badass.
Yeah.
And he face plants into the street and then gets punched out by the true Scarlet Spider. Ben Reilly is back, guys.
Yeah, he's not.
I think
Good
it's
boy.
when he shows his face under mask. I think that's a great page with the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider costume. That character standing up and Kane on his knees.
It's probably the best page of the whole book.
I agree.
Yeah, and we get a decent little fight in the rain. Always nice. Spider-Man fights with rain. And Ben takes off his mask and it is Ben Reilly. But then Spider-Man, which shows up, and the Jackal shows up, and it's worth noting Spider-Man, he's in the superior costume, and at this point in time, if it was Spider-Man, it would be superior, it would be Otto in Pete's body. But obviously Kane doesn't know about that. So Kane is interpreting superior Spider-Man's like voice as Peter's. But no, Kane is just
Why?
Because he doesn't know that
Why?
he doesn't know that
But-
Otto's in Peter's body.
The last time he saw Peter, he didn't have that costume, did he?
yeah, but I mean
Yeah, but
it's
the last
been
time
on
he saw
TV.
Spider-Man was the last episode with the team up, and he still thought that was Peter.
Oh
he
yeah,
never saw-
no. Yeah, he did. He literally did just run into Superior
Oh yeah.
in the episode you
But
missed.
I mean, spoiler, we find out this is fucking Craven.
Yeah,
Is Craven controlling the hallucinations? Because if he is, then would he know that that's Spider-Man's current costume?
No, I don't think. I think Craven just has poison, which causes hallucinations, and Kane's psyche just happens to involve Ben and Peter and Jackal.
that was the way I read it.
That makes
Yeah,
more
so did
sense.
But it's a fake out. At first, you think Kane is crazy, and then no, it's poison, and we get the second mask reveal, and it's Craven the Hunter. And here's the thing that stumped me the entire fucking book. So the Craven's daughter, her name's Anna. For some reason,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's Anastasia. For some reason, I kept thinking it was Ava. I don't know what I got confused. So
I want to talk about more quickly about Craven and a Spider-Man costume, because my mind always goes back, obviously, to Craven's Last Hunt, where when Craven was in the Spider-Man costume, he noticeably has a different build. Like, I feel like if you were to see Craven in the Scarlet Spider suit, same rule applies. So I don't know how Kane automatically just perceives it as Ben, because it would look like a big hulking dude in a Spider-Man
Because
costume,
poison.
not a slim guy.
yeah, just blame it on the poison.
Yeah.
And then, kind of at the end of this issue, we have some thrown together stuff to keep building the rest of the arc. Anna Kravinoff cuts erasily, and someone seems to kill. Well, no, Officer Layton and Dr. Melland, who are like Kane's supporting cast, gay couple of friends. Someone just murders their dog, and that never really go. They never come back to that dog, and it just they just show it dead for one page at the end of this issue, just to show that some shit's going down. I think it's kind of weird.
There's
Yeah.
more parallels with John Wick. I'm convinced that Scarlet Spider is just John Wick.
And then the other thing, so again, I got her name wrong. Was this the outfit that Anna Kravinoff was wearing before?
I
Yes.
don't think so. Was it?
I don't
Yes.
remember because because there's one scene later where Kane says something about blah 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 costume, and there's other costumes involved because Craven was wearing the Scarlet Spider costume and everything like that. But for a half second, I thought that Anna, because her outfit, like if you overanalyze it, I think it's very maybe slightly is similar to Kane's old costume, but I may have just been reaching.
Yeah, you're reaching on that. It's black with like a brown plate on it with like scraps, and then like she's barefoot.
Yeah.
And, like black leather.
So
The same costume she had in Grim Hunt.
Issue 22, we have 3 artists credited. We have Baldion, we have Pat Olive, and I think it's Randy Green. And Kane wakes up in a grave in the middle of the zoo, and he definitely has a boner. The art in this page, it accentuates his crotch quite a bit.
Okay.
Dude, don't kink shame him. If he likes waking up covered in blood in a you know, he's allowed to.
I'm saying the more important part of him waking up is that all the animals are dead in the zoo.
Well,
Yeah, that's whose blood he's covered in.
Yeah.
Well, most of them, except for a lion and a cheetah. So we get a splash page of him fighting them. And it's kind of fun, but the art really past the first issue of this arc just gets
Vince?
super inconsistent.
Vince, that's a tiger?
Yeah, it's a tiger.
Okay. A lion and a tiger? I thought I saw some spots.
No, that's a tiger and a cheetah.
Oh, okay.
But there is a lion alive, though.
Yeah, later on, but we're not there yet.
Vince doesn't know his animals.
Yes. And then Craven gives Erasely a recap of his whole life. He's like, the Russian Revolution thing went down, and then I found Spider-Man, and then I put him in a grave and put on his costume, and then I shot myself. And then back alive. So we get a full recap. And I thought, though, like, it is kind of forced, but it's better than him just, like, weird. I don't know. They executed it about as well as they could. And the whole idea here is that both Kane and Craven, both start with K, they're both resurrected against their will, and they're just depressed assholes. And so now Kane is a more fitting target for Craven than Spider-Man. And it's no longer predator versus prey and the hunt, it's predator versus predator. And I kind of like it. I mean, it does fit along perfectly with all the shit that we've read with Grim Hunt and Spider Island and everything like that.
But see, then also they shit on that, and they're like, no, he's actually just hunting Kane because apparently his blood made him bound. Like his blood is what revived Craven, and so now they're bound, and now Kane is apparently the only person that can kill him.
Yeah, which it's obviously very convenient, but I'm fine with Craven basically being the nemesis of Kane. And even beyond Grim Hunt and everything, obviously it goes all the way back to Kane killing his son during the original Clone Saga and everything like that. And so, like, I remember when we did the first episode, Matt expressed some concern about the Kravenoffs being like Kane's rogues gallery, but I think it's executed really well throughout the series.
Yeah, they at least have a history for why they should dislike each other.
Yeah, and it's all. I mean, they played the Kravenoffs pretty well in this parts of this arc. Anna sets a trap. There's a wounded cop, not Wally Layton, the buddy cop, but just a random cop, and it's a trap. And then there's a right after that, there's a nice moment where Kane breaks out of the trap, but before he does, he's like, Anna, run. And she's like, what? And then he rips out of the trap and like screams. Again, like Kane's characterization, the way he's portrayed, it's very distinct from Peter Parker Spider-Man, where he's way more aggressive and everything like that. And she taunts that his whole supporting cast is dead. So he pulls the classic move where he does the killer blow and stops inches from her face from killing her. Classic way to scare your enemies. And it was a bluff. Everyone is not dead. And we get a splash page showing how everyone's like tied up to these poles and they might get eaten by animals or whatever. And this splash page is awful in my opinion.
It's not great.
It's like really rough and there's no real detail.
There's no definition deep into the panel at all.
Yeah, it's a pretty weak splash page. I've never really seen a splash page look this weak before. So
Also, the proportions are pretty much off for everyone. Like, Craven looks completely way too big to be on that pole, but also like he also looks like he's just photoshopped into the image as well. It's very odd.
mm-hmm.
And the end of this issue, we get Craven's motivation, and Billy already explained some of it, but Craven is trying to commit suicide by superhero, essentially. Which plenty of villains have done that over the years. But I find that an interesting concept, like the idea of a villain or even just a crook, like who's really depressed or whatever, deciding I'm not to rob a bank to get some cash, but I'm going to rob a bank and hopefully the Punisher shows up and shoots me. I feel like there's there's a lot of opportunity for stories in that avenue. Now, issue 20.
So
What?
yeah, well, I want to say on issue 23. I want to ask. I know this is Ryan Stegman cover, but did this look like a J. Scott Campbell cover to you? Because it kind of looked like J. Scott Campbell art to me.
Yeah, I could see why you think it would look like that.
Yeah, it's slightly different from usual.
It looks like it has like J. Scott Campbell's like proportions and
J.
stuff.
Scott Campbell right here. Here, my signed Venom J. Scott Campbell poster.
I didn't know you bought that. Or
I didn't. It was given to me as a gift.
For your birthday?
No, for Christmas.
Asian Dan gave it to him.
That's weird. I would never I would never choose J. Scott Campbell to do Venom.
Clearly did not spring for a Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, I know, right? Although that would be way too much money.
I mean, he also
there's no amount of money that's too much for a piece of Todd Father art.
I mean, he has a Todd Venom image directly behind his head already.
Yeah. But like, could you imagine if you had the original pages to that?
It's probably worth a shitload of money.
Money that I don't have.
So, issue 23, I moaned about the splash page. Issue 23 is where the art just, especially in this issue, just falls to shit.
It's like we said, like, every issue gets worse, and for the rest of the it's bad.
And so technically, apparently, it's just David Baldeon doing art in here. There's no separate inkers listed, but it's super rough and inconsistent. And
no one wants to credit themselves on this issue.
The conclusion I came to, this was my interpretation of it, is I see the art in this issue as like this weird, shitty blend of Howard Chaykin and Humberto Ramos. That's what I was
seeing. God,
and
you're exactly right.
And a lot of people hate both Howard Chaykin and Humberto Ramos for somewhat different reasons, but they both have polarizing styles. And it's not even like it's a mix, but also some pages, like there's one close-up shot of Craven's face, which to me looked a lot like Howard Chaykin.
And then, Chaykin now. I mean, I like early Howard Chaykin art.
Yeah.
Like 80s Chaykin, but I don't like his art now. And then I've also just never liked Ramos.
And like, there's one panel where Anna Kravinoff just looks like an old man. And that panel just really stood out to me. So what actually goes down, Dr. Melland gets his stomach sliced open.
Yeah, this falls into the category where I talked a few episodes ago about like really, really violent panels for a mainstream Marvel comic book. Yeah, this goes in there. Like that was pretty brutal for this.
Yeah. And
But
there's
like really, you would expect supervillains to get this violent, though.
No,
And the
no, I
fact,
do. But I'm talking about like this. It's one of those things where it borders on a Max book.
true. It's just that I don't know. I feel like it totally works, and I
No,
enjoy
I'm
it.
not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's always it falls into that weird gray area that you don't normally see. So obviously it's for shock value. But I think the panel that's it's a lot more gruesome is the one with Anna. It's in the background of the image where Craven's holding Kane all beaten up, and then Anna's licking the knife as you just see like the pool of blood around the doctor, where it's like Evil Dead levels of blood, where there's just no much like that amount of blood does not come out of a person.
Well, one, yes, that amount of blood could come out of a person, and two, um, it is a lot of blood. I'll give you that. But the thing about it is that they always frame it in a way so that you don't see the injury itself. So like
Yeah, we don't
it's
have like she's framed right over like the clearly hanging out intestines.
yeah, it's gruesome, but like implied gruesomeness, if that makes sense. Like much how they normally cover up nudity in these Spider-Man comics that we've read too many of, they do the same thing, covering up this
Yeah,
man's
there's
internal
half
organs becoming
of
external.
clouds right on private areas. That always covers it up, doesn't it?
and basically Kane and Craven fight a bit, and he stabs him in the heart with his spiky thing.
No, he doesn't.
No,
He palm strikes his chest so fucking hard that it just stops his heart.
stops his heart.
No, I think you
Mm-mm.
see the palm strike, but he has the thing under his wrist. If you see
No,
the
he
palm
just
before,
palm strikes. There's no hole when he goes back to revive him.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure the panel before he has it out though.
No.
Okay.
No,
And the thought bubble literally on that panel is the impact stops his heart. He's dead before he hits the ground.
All right. So he
and
palm.
I wanted to add something real quick. Uh, I just thought it was very funny that all it took to kill Craven was a palm strike to the heart, and I thought that was kind of
well,
weak
it's a
for
really,
Craven.
really hard palm strike.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's that Spider-Men are so fucking strong, and they always hold back. And Kane is sometimes, but he claims to be stronger than Spider-Man. So you have to think how
They really
strong this
hammer
guy
it in this
is.
book that Kane is stronger than Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he just decides not to hold back as much on this one palm strike, and that's enough. And I mean, it makes sense. Like that's scientifically sound. If you get hit hard enough in the chest, your heart could stop. So it's crazy that he knows exactly how hard to hit to like stop his heart, but not just completely destroy this man's body. But you know, it's cool.
I
I
like
think.
he starts it back up by doing the same thing again.
Yeah, so he brings Craven back to life like a minute later, but it's not even like a palm strike. Like they definitely show it where like he just like kind of punches him, I think more than once in the chest to get him back to life, which is funny. And but the thing is, technically, Craven was dead for a little bit, and so the deal should be fine now. And
Yeah, well, that's his theory. That's how it goes.
you
He's like,
can
well,
fuck off.
That's exactly how it went.
And Craven, I'm pretty sure for a second he's like, "No, it doesn't work out like that. You're still fucked." But then the Cravenoffs just leave. And so Dr. Melland, he survives, but he might die in the next surgery.
they're just like, yeah, like they're like he. I think they literally come out and say like, yeah, he's never gonna fully recover from this.
Yeah, and that sets up his husband, former ally, Officer Layton, to finally look up Kane's police records. Seems like should have done that before, but
Maybe as an officer of the law, yeah.
before you were hyping up and saying that Houston needed a superhero. And so that's really the end of the Into the Grave arc, and overall, the end of the Kravinoff saga with Scarlet Spider, and I would say kind of the end of the overall arc of this series. But we've got 2 more issues to talk about. Number 24, this is also a great cover, one of my favorite covers on the series. Pretty basic shot, but I think the execution is good.
I like the vertical placement of the logo.
Yeah. And we start with Kane talking to the priest in the confession box. And again, he has close crop blonde hair, and the art in these past few issues not very consistent. So this just looks like an Eddie Brock scene.
Yeah.
And
I
speaking
didn't make that connection.
Yeah. Speaking of aping other Spider-Man related characters, we have a Scarlet Spider No More moment with him throwing the costume in the trash can and trying to burn
this. I thought this was
Yeah,
fun.
it was funny. And he's like, "Oh wait, shit! This costume doesn't burn. I can't get rid of this."
Yeah, because of unstable molecules.
And like the mom, Arizona just grabs out the trash can and just tries to give it to him while he just walks away. And it's like, I don't want this damn suit. Just throw it in the trash.
I just love the panel of Kane punching a burning trash can and saying fuck unstable molecules.
He kicks it. Once again, questioning if you've read these books.
I at least did a while ago, similar to Dan McNamara. And then we get another like funny, weird scene where he gets back to the hotel and Annabelle's just like, "Have sex with me right now."
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is going on?
That was so like off guard and like unexpected.
But what's funny is that he does it. Because like, why wouldn't you? I guess.
And then
he needs to relieve some tension, and he does.
she pops a surprise that she has kids. He's gonna be a superhero parent, just like Superman and Batman, and not Spider-Man.
Yeah, she was like, "I can't wait for you to meet my children." He's just like, "What? What children?"
But he doesn't have much time to think about that because first of all, we get 2 pages or more of Erasely having a fever dream, which never really connects in this series. And then Officer Layton shows up, knocks down the door to arrest Kane. But right behind him, another Annabelle and a brunette show up. It turns out the one who had sex with him is some villain thingy.
Some wasp creature thing?
Which I'm pretty sure is appearing for the first time in this issue. And so this seemed kind of like just jacked in.
The building blows up as the brunette pulls out who claims to have been a former lover of Kane, and then pulls out a bazooka and blows up the entire penthouse apartment.
Yes.
And then she claims that Kane put her father in a coma and then like just blows up the apartment, and it's really random. It's not explained.
Yeah, she's in some of the stuff we did not read. She was from like the second arc or so, directly following the stuff we read for the first episode. Her name is Zoe, and the weird creature thing is Shathra, who, in fact, Shathra is from, I don't remember this at all. She's from the J. Michael Straczynski run on Spider-Man.
I would assume so, because she's kind of like a spider totem creature.
Her first appearance was Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, number 46, back in 2002.
So she's just like made out of insects. That's why I thought of it.
Wasp.
When I read it.
Yeah.
Wasp. Okay, so it's like swarm essence, right? Kind of.
Yeah, basically gender bent, different insect swarm.
Okay.
And also, unlike Swarm, she's not a Nazi scientist, which makes her infinitely less cool.
Okay.
Like in a villain way, just to clarify.
There you go.
Okay.
I was put the clarification on that.
At the end of this issue, we have a letter from Tom Brennan, who is the editor, and he notes how 2 years of a book not featuring a mainline character is an accomplishment in the current state of the market.
And now an accomplishment in a Marvel comic is 7 issues without getting renumbered.
Yeah, and this is in 2013. Actually, I think this is 2014. Now 25, the final issue of the series, and we open with Erasely in her hummingbird costume. We haven't seen that at all within this series. I had mentioned it before. What do you guys think of the hummingbird costume?
It's
She looks like Gamora.
cool. Yeah. I still don't see the point in having empaths be superheroes, because I don't think they really can.
Well, she can also levitate.
Oh wow, I changed my mind. You've convinced me.
She mentions it in this issue, but we don't see it. And this is actually not her first time in the costume in this series, but first time we're seeing it.
I've never like seen Hummingbird ever, so I thought this was Gamora when I first saw this. I was like, why is Gamora in this issue? Then I realized it's Hummingbird, and it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird because while she has the costume on, I don't know.
Why is her face green?
Is she green? Yeah, like that's why. Like, why is she green? Like,
Her skin is her. That's what I was gonna say. Her skin is a different color, but her skin's not green. Her skin actually gets paler, but she's wearing gloves that are green, and obviously her
The
costume.
only skin on her that's showing is her face.
Yeah. But yeah, it's basically a OG Gamora costume, and this is with a lot more fabric, I should say.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot more clothing.
We kick in with a flash forward. The Kane and Erasely, they're in Mexico. He has a nice beard again, just like he did in the very beginning of this series. Even though as we get later on, like there's some time moving around, but the beard kind of just disappears at the end of this issue. So I don't know what was going on. And we get flashbacks catching us up with what actually happened at the end of the last issue. So everyone's falling out of the building following the explosion, and there's a lettering error because Erasely, there's like Kane is his thoughts. He's like, I grabbed Erasely first, but I couldn't get Erasely. I think there's a moment where they meant to use Annabelle's name, or maybe it was supposed to be Zoe, but they use Erasely twice. And in fact, I think it's misspelled in the second instance. But he saves everyone in an epic page. Hooray. And this is weird because like the way they flash forward and do the setup in the beginning of this issue, it seems to imply like people died or like he didn't save people or he fucked up.
Yeah.
But really like nothing happens.
No, he turned in. He turned into a spider monster in his head, or in reality. I'm still not clear on that. And basically killed the wasp creature.
Yeah, he just like rips her in half, and her body's on the ground. Whatever. There's in one of the parts where we go back into the flashback. There's a really great splash page in this issue of Kane in his costume swinging. And yeah, he turns into a spider monster thing. And then because he did that, and because I guess he was brutal in killing this like weird supernatural monster that wanted to kill people, everyone freaks out, and so he just abandons everyone.
Yeah.
But Erasely tags along, and the conclusion, like in this issue, as they're like sitting on the beach, his narration is that he's not a superhero, so he kind of just gives up and fucks off, which does get him off the board as a canceled book, but it's also a bummer ending. But also, it doesn't matter. First of all, also at the end, there's like some weird comments about the water being red, and I didn't understand if that was supposed
Yeah.
to be ease that went over my head, or if they're talking about something that happened off panel.
No, see, I think they're trying to set up more because immediately after that, at the bottom, it says "not the end."
Yeah.
So they're just setting something up that will never
Which of
get.
course would lead into well, no, possibly get addressed to New Warriors, right?
Yes.
Shut up.
So this is the final issue of Scarlet Spider, and Christopher Yost has a letter at the end, as you would expect from the end of a run, but it's like super tiny and unsentimental at all. He name checks like all of his collaborators, as you do, but once you take out that sentence, it's like 3 sentences long in this giant font on only like a quarter of the page. It's a very shitty final issue letter for a pretty great run. But the story of Kane.
It's basically just like, hey, I never imagined that this. What?
The story of Kane will continue in 2 months in New Warriors #1. And I checked in real quick on New Warriors #1, and where Kane picks up is, you remember the scene in the end of 25 where they walk by some tourists that are getting mugged, and Racely's like, we got to help them, and Kane's like, nah, and he keeps walking. And it's totally implied that they don't help him, because then like the conclusion of the book is that he's not a superhero and he's retired.
No, but Erasely makes a comment later, and she's like, "You totally saved those tourists."
Yeah.
That's why like the end of the issue is really weird, because it's like we're gonna walk by them, but then acknowledge that we didn't. And so in New Warriors #1, you literally see that scene where he stops the muggers and saves the tourists. And then past that,
does that give any indication on why the water?
Not really. Past that, I'm not sure how things follow, because I have not read that New Warriors run, but I own it. So we have teased, Matt and I at least, if not on the show, maybe off, we teased possibility once the show's completely done to just sometimes just randomly come back and do things that are even less related. Just make it a dumb Spider-Man show. To be determined. Guests as well, to be determined, as Billy shakes his head. But if I read New Warriors and decide it's worth talking about, watch out for that.
The joke is that there's never any point in which there's New Warriors to talk about, because it's all terrible.
So the opening arc of that New Warriors run is basically the High Evolutionary freaking out about all these.
Wow, I already don't care because the High Evolutionary is involved. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
All these different evolved versions of humans. So the High Evolutionary, he hates Inhumans, he hates mutants, he hates Atlanteans.
I hate that you're still talking about the opening arc of this book.
And so the book ends up having a new Atlantean character as well on the team. I forget her name, but it's similar to the.
Memorable.
It's similar to how Namorita was on the original New Warriors team. It's a weird book because they try and use some of the old New Warriors, but they're kind of de-aged awkwardly. And then the New Warriors that people, myself, care about. Also, Sun Girl, which is Yost's like pet character. Water Snake is the Atlantean character. All right.
So just High Evolutionary just hates everyone.
Yes.
Does he hate the half human, half animal hybrids on Wonder Gore though that he created?
I don't know, because the issue opens with him like fucking with Bova, who is the cow woman who raised the Maximoffs.
Oh, okay.
All right, so enough about New Warriors. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this episode and just this Scarlet Spider series in general?
I think it's not a terrible book. It's a pretty good mid-tier title that got a good 25 issues, which I guess in this era of comics, 25 issues is a milestone no matter how you slice it.
I think it was really good and should have lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah, there were based on like the supporting characters and everything, they definitely could have gone longer. In the first episode we talked about it, I definitely mentioned how this, as well as the Agent Venom, Flash Thompson run, they had lots of things going for them, and they were just unfortunately canceled at a bad time. Obviously, it would have been amazing if Ryan Stegman drew all 25 issues. And as we said, specifically in this episode, there's some rough art, but that's just how comics are. Again, just like how it only lasts 25 issues.
Seeing Kane, I mean, like, I didn't know much about Kane coming into this, so seeing the differences between how he differs from Peter, power wise, personality wise, was pretty interesting. It was a pretty cool book. I enjoyed it.
Yep. So everyone go out and read Scarlet Spider, or at least try to, because you will have much difficulty finding reprints of it. But digital is always an option. And tune in next week for the most exciting episode of this show ever, Spider-Verse.
Oh my god!
Oh god! I totally forgot y'all were doing that.
I was really hoping it was going to be Spider-Verse because I thought you were going to spring the opening arc of New Warriors on us, and I was going to kill you.
All right, so tune in next time, and thanks for watching this one. Peace.